All right, guys, welcome to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate. I am Dean Harris, your host. I'm always Douglas Skipworth. How are you, buddy?
Hey, man, doing great.
We're bringing you this podcast to give you the boots on the ground knowledge to be a successful real estate investor here in Memphis, Tennessee. Please like and subscribe to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate on our YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok. You can click an email and email me directly on there. There's another link on there you can click and get the buyer profile link sent right to you. So head on over to TikTok. Show sponsors are listed on your screen below. We wouldn't be able to do this show without them. Triumph Construction, River City Title, Corlin Financial, CrestCore Property Management, and Will Griffin over there with Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmeyer. I help buyers and sellers every day. Email me, dean@crestcore.com. I also just mentioned TikTok. Go to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate on TikTok. There's a link there for my email and for the buyer's profile link.
Perfect.
Today, Douglas, are you tired of tenants, toilets, and taxes?
Oh, I have been there.
You have been there.
I have been there.
So today we're discussing landlords, owners that could possibly be tired of tenants, toilets, and taxes. Okay, I know
Yes.
that's catchy, but the idea is I'm coming into this new year. I've got investor buyers that are coming to me that are saying, hey, we're ready. We're interested. On the other side of that coin, I'm not going to say call after call, but weekly, there are multiple investors that are reaching out. It's time to sell my investment property. You could be this is 2025. Maybe you bought them around the COVID time and you put them on a 5-year, AM with a 20-year AM with a 5-year balloon. Your time's coming up. I got somebody that I spoke to yesterday. The rate they had at was 4.5,
Right.
7.5 now, bub.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of that. Maybe the breakdown really is the toilets, taxes, and tenants are just driving you bananas, right? They're just driving you crazy, and you can't do anything about it. So today we're going to talk about it's time to sell my rental property, how to market it.
Oh, good.
What are we doing to it to not necessarily get it ready? We had a podcast a couple weeks ago about getting it ready.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was a great show.
Yeah, but today we're going to talk about just what's out there. It's going to be a little bit of a market update as well, kind of mixed in with this. Right now, I've got 66 active listings.
Okay. Pretty common, pretty normal.
Yeah, there's right over 80 that are on the market, but some of those are under contract. So I've got 66 properties that are, currently available. 38 are under contract for February. So the market update part of this is there's 38. That's not a large package. There's a couple of repeat buyers in there, but there's not a large package being sold. Those are 38 separate homes that are being sold to investors. So
that you're repping the buyer or the seller.
Buyer or seller, and some cases both.
Okay.
But half of those, like I've talked about before, are loans. The rest of them are cash and hard money. Yep. Which is still kind of considered a loan. So, in my mind, it's what are you doing to get it ready? That podcast, I'd encourage you to go back and watch that. Getting a little bit of an idea of what's out there right now. I mean, I have listings that are out there now. Now, Dean, are all 66 of those home runs? No. No. But can we make something of those?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. So let's talk about those. Selling a rental isn't admitting defeat. I thought this was a great highlight.
That's
and
good.
I wanted
That's
to
a good.
focus
I mean,
on
it's
this
good.
a little bit.
Yes. Go ahead.
It's not a defeat. You and I
Might be. It might be, but it's not necessarily. It depends on which it is.
What's the saying about you might have lost the battle, but
you want to win the war. That's right. Good point.
So there's probably some houses in if you've got a portfolio or you've been in this for a long time that you feel like you need to sell, or maybe you're in you've only been in a couple of years and you're 5 or 6, 7, 8 deep. I don't want you to feel like selling a rental property is a complete and total failure. It's an acknowledgement of maybe something you would have done differently.
Could be. I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons to sell. I mean, we've talked about this before. I mean, I know you've sold over 200.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And I've probably sold more than that privately.
Yeah.
Without agent involved for whatever reasons. And so those weren't all mistakes.
Right.
I've made some mistakes in there and things but life happened.
Yep.
My situation changed.
Yep.
There were other opportunities that presented themselves.
Yep.
The economy did things, the neighborhoods. There are all kinds of things that happen that make you change and decide what you want to do. So selling is not, you never know. I mean, I didn't ever want to sell anything ever.
Had a guy call me last month going through a divorce.
Unfortunate.
It's terrible.
Hate that. But
terrible.
but that's not uncommon.
He's got to sell them all.
got to sell them all.
Yeah, he can't.
And
they worked
that
together,
happens.
and they did. It was just one. It wasn't a situation where he kind of did it all, and she didn't. They worked together with it, and just they can't. One of them can't buy them. It's just not a good situation. So that's not necessarily defeat, because those things are humming and working, and neither one of them want to sell, but neither one of them can buy it.
Right.
So that's a.
So they're selling them.
So they're selling them
and moving on. And again, somebody one of the best situations I ever had was a borrower was in trouble.
Okay.
A bank, which means the bank's in trouble.
Yeah, they won't tell you that, but they're in trouble too.
The bank's in trouble. If the borrower's in trouble, the bank's in trouble.
That's exactly right.
There's a consultant involved to try and help that situation. Mm-hmm. So we got involved and came in and were able to purchase some properties.
That's right.
From a borrower who was in a bad situation.
Yep.
From a bank who was in a bad situation through the consultant. So 4 parties all walked away very, very happy.
That's right. You relieved someone that was in trouble. You guys acquired properties that you wanted.
Yep.
The bank moved the paper to someone that could pay, and the consultant probably received some type of compensation.
Fee. That's right.
Yeah.
And so in that scenario with that borrower, these were properties that had been in this borrower's family for 50 years. But they were thrilled because the alternative was much worse.
Yeah, losing them all.
Losing everything they have. Not just losing the properties, losing everything they had if they didn't do this. And so they were like, we want to do this. I'm like, man, this has been in your family 50 years. No. We want to do this because
of these circumstances.
Because of these circumstances. And we are thanking you and thankful to you for doing this.
Yeah, so that's an excellent point. It's not a defeat. That you could be selling for many reasons. There's tons of reasons you could be selling. Now, you could have screwed it up.
I screwed it up, man.
39-34 Battlefield, man.
Yeah.
It lives. I ought to get it done. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Costs a reminder. Don't be an idiot.
Yep.
Yeah, I've told that story 100 times, but I just messed that up right away, and that was a defeat. I lost that one.
Yeah.
That wasn't the war. That was just kind of.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, that was out of the gate.
Right.
And I share that experience with you guys to avoid what I did out of the gate. I had to sell my first one. It was a nightmare.
Right.
It was for somebody who you would look at and maybe say, hey, you're a successful real estate investor. If you knew how things got started, you'd think I couldn't, I wouldn't be able to do this at all.
Yeah.
So, don't feel like, I provide this podcast to try to help people avoid the mistakes and the pitfalls, right? It's benefited us in many ways.
For sure.
We were talking before we started this, but it doesn't mean that, that every scenario that I touch is gold. Even now,
No.
it just doesn't work that way. So selling a property and getting that out from under you is not a defeat
in
every
not at
scenario. We've talked about how we can do those. Now, when you sell the property, what are you going to do
There you go.
next?
Okay.
One of a popular thing to do is a 1031 exchange.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you aren't selling it because of defeat in a financial situation, you're selling it because you want a different asset class.
Reposition yourself.
Reposition yourself. There's a way to do that without taking a hit from the IRS.
The capital gains tax. You can avoid or delay it. Avoid it. You're just deferring it to the future.
Which then you hope you can take care of it with other purchases and other stuff and just keep kicking the can down the street. So
that's right.
A 1031 exchange will allow you to do just that. I can go into, maybe that's a podcast next to talk about a 1031 exchange. But if you're selling a property, you can move those proceeds into another like property. There's timelines and some restrictions and guidelines on how to do that, but you can avoid the gain taxes if you move that into another one. So there's one option if you're selling and you're not needing the money to help maybe fix a mistake or whatever it might be. You could roll it into another property with a 1031 exchange. Have you ever done one of those?
I, believe it or not, I have not.
I hadn't either.
I've
worked them.
I know, it's so funny.
50 times.
But with all those sells, you're like, what? And it's I'm not an optimized kind of guy. I'm a peace of mind guy.
Yeah.
Big difference. I'm not a textbook optimizer. I'm a peace of mind. And so a lot of times, and where this goes is the reason I got into rental houses is to have free and clear rental houses. So I oftentimes take proceeds from sales and pay down debt because I'm I want to have free and clear rental houses. Like to me, that's the name of the game. Mm-hmm. Other people optimize different ways, and at certain points you do certain things. But so paying down debt for me is a big thing. When you take a sale, pay down debt, or I have redeployed that cash into other opportunities. Mm-hmm. Again, not in a 1031 exchange way, but in other opportunities, other houses, but just didn't have something lined up, didn't want to go through the hoops, wasn't a big enough gain. That was a lot of these things were, of the things we sold was I still own. I'd have to go back and look like at purchase number 1, purchase number 2. I know many, I wonder what number it would be where I've had my first sale, because I know the first 7, 8, 9, 10, I can think like, okay, I know those first 10 I still own. So that's great. But somewhere along the way, I got too big for my britches and thought I could, everything I could touch. And so I bought properties I shouldn't have been purchasing. And so those are the ones that ended up getting trimmed, pruned, eliminated from the portfolio.
If you have a large portfolio, if you're telling me that you don't have a dog in there, I think you're lying to me. Yeah. You just
things don't always work out.
Don't always work out, and where a lot of people fall victim is not releasing the dogs soon enough.
Yeah.
I am personally about to go through that.
Yeah.
I met with our bookkeeper yesterday, so I'm the infant stages of analyzing not the ones I just bought, some of the ones that I bought early on. I also realize those are my best cash flowing ones because I bought them so cheap.
Yep.
So I know that some of those won't be, they don't need to be sold. But I think as I went to if you took my portfolio at 100%, when I got to the 55, 65% range, I think there were some in there that maybe I would buy a little differently or wouldn't buy or whatever. So there's some, I think this year might be the first year that I actually sell a rental. So this was relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, because there's so many people out there that might have 2 or 3. Because if you guys have heard me talk, you've heard me say this, you got to get to 10, 11, or 12. If you're floating at 2, 3, 4 rental houses and that's kind of all you're going to buy, and this is annoying as hell, well, welcome. This is it. It ain't going to get any. If you have 3 or 4 and you're like, this is no fun, then it's just going to stay no fun. I have someone close to a relative right now that has 4.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Over again.
That's what I'm saying. And you got to get them paid for, man, as quick as you can, because then but you're still, it's a peace of mind thing, even though you're not making the money. But the house is appreciating if you're taking care of it.
100%. My next note was to go back to last week's podcast and listen to how you get your house ready.
That's good.
That would be
a few
one
weeks
of the first
ago.
things that I would do is. Yeah, it might have been
few weeks ago. Yeah.
Is to get your house ready to list and get it ready to sell. But don't feel like this is a defeat. This is something where you can't recoup. And what am I going to do? We've talked about, but I have equity. I don't want to pay tax. We talked about the 1031. So there's a way to move out of one property into something else. What we need to do is just hop on the phone and talk about it. I need to figure out your scenario and what you're looking at, how much the value is. I can definitely help with that. What else do we add about tired of tenants, toilets, and taxes?
That was good, man. No,
All right, my last one was to regroup and put the money together. Once you sell it, stay in it. It's not over. Don't worry. We can buy another one. I think that's the message I kind of want to get out. It's like, if you need to sell the property, let's sell the property. There's no rule that says if you got 3 and those are not the 3 that you don't want these 3. There's no rule if you sell those 3, you can't jump right back in this, right? So there's my point. Don't feel like you've just completely been defeated because you have to sell a rental property. Reach out to me. Let's find out how I can help you with it. Anything else?
Do it.
Hey, thanks, guys. Dean at CrestCore.com. We'll check you next week.
Yeah.
I just let that go.